Good morning, Mars, and welcome back to Cement City Racing. I am your host, Cement Sol, and this is the fourth week of our broadcasts. We have set up our arena today in the Cement City outskirts so that our top 4 contestants may duke it out and complete the next 2-week cycle. After this show, the placings on the leaderboard can once again be updated. So without further ado, let us meet today's contestants. From the Eastern Archipelago, the Barilan clan once again rolls into the arena. They have driven over the vast expanse of the Dust Bowl to join us in Cement City Racing. They had an impressive showing the last time we saw them, leaving a mark on the other competitors with their Grade A military weaponry. We will see how those guns hold up today. Up next is Neon in Underdog, the only monster truck in all of Cement City. Neon has managed to hold on to her ride despite its very coveted status, and she now brings it to bear in Cement City Racing. Last time we saw her nearly outdrive Johnny Handbrake. Will we see that today again? And speaking of the man himself, Johnny Handbrake rides in today on the Roadrunner, accompanied by his mechanic and second, Kerry Canary. They are now the first of our contestants to secure a Martian sponsor. From now on, Team Handbrake will fly the colors of Miyazaki. I'm sure Johnny will do both his sponsors and his family name proud. And in a development I am sure most of our viewers saw coming, our current top contestant has also scored a sponsor. The Load Brothers are now officially running with the Order of the Inferno. I personally thought it was only a matter of time before they were picked up by the Order, but their blazing performance in their first match certainly helped their case. Today's event will involve flags and driving over them. We have pre-set up 4 different flags on the arena floor. When contestants drive close enough, the flags will automatically magnetize to their vehicles. If a contestant carries a flag, it is visibly incapacitated. Our team will release the flag's magnet and they will drop their flag. We have made it so contestants will easily be able to pick up a first flag. However, to win the event, you will need to pick up 2 flags. The contestants may do this through any means necessary, and we fully expect them to try and take each other out. And with each contestant in place and without any further ado, let's start those engines! Johnny Handbrake starts things off by making a beeline towards his flag. I'm sure he has already received some Miyazaki upgrades, but it is worth noting that those ramps are far less stable than the Cement City pavement. Whenever a contestant drives over them, they will lose the advantage of the smooth Cement City asphalt. Underdog does largely the same as Neon guides a giant truck towards her flag. I am sure she could easily drive over those barricades if she chose to. And it would not surprise me if she did just that, given how her last match with Johnny Handbrake ended. You can check out episode 1 of our pre-recordings if you want to see how that match went down. Barilan and the tall boy now doing largely the same as the others, but it is best to keep in mind the pintle-mounted machine gun that is bolted onto that truck. The machine gunner takes aim at Underdog, who is easily the largest target but manages to not land a single hit. Now we join our current top 1 contender, the Load Brothers in soft serve. They take a conservative approach to the first flag, likely trying to keep some space between them and the barricades. They have some history with the Barilans as they had a very heated debut event together. If you want to see how that goes down, you can watch our pre-recording of episode 2. Johnny Handbrake now makes a move on his flag, keeping a respectable distance from those barricades. That rickety ramp is doing a number on him, however, and Johnny is not looking particularly in control. But it does look like the risk he's taken to get in there has set him up to exit the ramp smoothly. The Roadrunner's reposition has potentially shielded it from one of the Underdog's dangerous T-bones. Neon will guide the Underdog towards picking up the flag and will be able to traverse those barricades with ease. However, she does have to steer clear of the crane in the middle, which is still fully capable of stopping the monster truck. However, it looks like those barricades have given Neon some trouble. She has snagged on something and it has done some damage to the Underdog. That will not stop her from going up and over the barricades, however, and she maintains control of the monster truck. And as she breaches, we see that the Roadrunner has just barely managed to avoid another deadly collision. The tall boy carries on down its own path and picks up the flag. It cuts it much closer to the barricades than the Roadrunner did, keeping more stable in the process. However, the tall boy is a far more unwieldy vehicle, and I do not know if their driver will be able to clear that barricade. Their machine gunner does have an obstructed shot on the underdog, and despite the large crane, they manage to land a few solid hits. The monster truck is looking worn down at the moment, definitely not as dominant as their first event. The Load Brothers, riding soft serve, currently have one of the highest takedown counts in the Cement City roster. However, they are not able to bring their greatest strength to bear in this current rage of engagement. They successfully pick up their flag and drive closer towards the tall boy. They are also skirting it pretty close to that barricade. Their flamethrower may not be in range, but that will not stop them from throwing firebombs. The Molotovs do not fly through, however, and the tall boy remains not set on fire. A disappointment to all followers of the Inferno, I am sure. The contestants all now have one flag each, which means it is now a matter of actively taking each other down and picking up the fallen flags. And I am sure everyone will be happy to oblige. Team Handbrake and the Roadrunner are looking to put some distance between them and the underdog. They roll smoothly out of the ramp, and Johnny puts on a tightly executed handbrake that saves them from smashing into the green container. The man is living up to the family name. However, they do not seem to be close enough to open fire on any other contestants. Neon in underdog keeps the bead on the Roadrunner, tailing Johnny Handbrake while sticking to the safer concrete surface. Neon has not armed her monster truck with any high caliber weaponry, just with the deadly ram up front. However, she does still carry a handgun, as is standard issue for all of our contestants. She fires off a pot shot, but it does not hit. It is also worth mentioning that our contestants have been doing some fabulous driving so far. Nobody has been forced to stop by the central barricades, and nobody has wiped out yet. And the Barilan seem to be following this trend, as their driver comes within inches of scraping that barricade, just before putting the truck into a tight hairpin arc that sends it facing the other direction. That is some fancy driving. Their machine gunner has lost a clean shot on the underdog and will train the heavy machine gun onto soft serve. The bullets fly and Barry nails the ice cream truck with his shotgun. The Load Brothers cannot quite get out of harm's way, and the soft serve takes a beating. Now, I am sure they would love to make a beeline for the tall boy to set them on fire. However, they are not gifted with the wheels of a monster truck and cannot clear that barricade. And so the soft serve is skillfully sent into a hard turn upwards towards Johnny Handbrake. It looks like they also do not have a clean shot at anything with their firebombs. Our contestants are now on each other's tails, and the moment the flag drops and is picked up, we will have an immediate winner. At this point, it could still be anyone in this event. In terms of firepower, the Roadrunner is not to be discounted. Both members of Team Handbrake have a single SMG, which translates to an impressive volume of fire when unleashed. Johnny Handbrake is now on a straightaway, and even though he was in a precarious position earlier, he is now all set up to regain control. And as he does, he comes within firing range of the soft serve. Team Handbrake lets loose a hail of bullets, but the Load Brothers seem to be prepared for it and evade all of them. They are now in a prime position to fire back. But before that can happen, the underdog quickly catches up. Neon threads through all the arena hazards, sticking to the safest road surface. And now it looks like she is pushing her machine as far as it will go to try and catch up. She sends the monster truck into a screeching drift, chasing after Johnny Handbrake. But at the exit of the curve, she veers hard to the right. With her handgun, she unloads into the Roadrunner as she passes by. Johnny avoids some, but a few of the shots manage to land. At the peak of this maneuver, Neon loses control of the underdog and it goes into a forward flip. This will send it straight into the soft serve at maximum speed. If Neon has managed to do this on purpose, it is a very impressive display of driving. Across their first two events, she has been giving Johnny Handbrake a run for his money. Underdog nails the ice cream truck in the side but does not quite topple it. The monster truck glances off and the soft serve is looking much worse for wear, but they are still very much in this game. The Barilans have a local reputation as consummate opportunists, and this is the exact sort of opportunity they would not let pass. The tall boy surges forward now at maximum speed, looking to take down one of the contestants. The Barilans unload everything they have into Underdog. Neon has just rolled to a full stop and is a sitting duck, and it looks like those shots are just enough to take her out of action. Underdog's wreck smashes into soft serve, but the Load Brothers are ready for it and manage to avoid any damage. However, between the large collisions and the hail of bullets, something is set off, and the Underdog explodes in a ball of fire. This is the single largest explosion we have had on the show thus far, and every car in the event is currently within range of it. The Roadrunner takes the brunt of the explosion. It's not a lot of damage, but it is enough to force Johnny Handbrake to wipe out. He loses control and almost drives out of the arena bounds before rolling to a full stop. Nobody is safe from the explosion, and the soft serve is taking it point blank. However, through some miraculous circumstance, it looks like they have gone through that with nary a scratch. They still have a shot at this. The tall boy, however, is not so lucky. The explosion takes out a big chunk of the vehicle, and it is rocked hard enough for the driver to lose control. They wipe out at top speed. Like every other vehicle that has so far wiped out in this event, the tall boy is sent hurtling forward by the loss of control. Its own momentum sending it flipping into the air. The Barilans are well armored, but I am sure they are holding on for dear life as they crash into that container. Their vehicle holds on just by a little as it crumples against the corrugated steel. But that is not quite the end of it, as the tall boy is also quite a long boy and its rear comes swinging around to smash into the other corner of the container. The Barilans have a very tough reinforced vehicle, but it has been laid low by just a few unlucky moments. This next crash could take them out. And unfortunately that is exactly the case, as the secondary crash finally takes down the tall boy. But even then it is not over, as their ruined vehicle pinballs off the container towards the other cars. The tall boy rear ends soft serve, but is not going fast enough to do any sort of real damage. And then it finally stops and is officially classed as wrecked. But it is still not over, as the soft serve finally succumbs to the chaos around it and wipes out. The rear ending was the straw that broke the ice cream truck's back, and it is sent towards that wreck at its maximum speed. Both the soft serve and the wreck somehow come out unscathed, and the ice cream truck is simply turned around. The Load Brothers are still in the game. Finally, as that cascade of events comes to a close, we end up with only 2 of our contestants remaining. The soft serve is on its last legs, but it is so close to the flag. The Roadrunner is miles away from the flag, but it can still force a default win if it takes out the soft serve. Instead of trying to shoot over the wreck, however, Johnny Handbrake, being Johnny Handbrake, reverses the car and performs a pinpoint turn. This gives them a much clearer shot at the soft serve and also brings them much closer to the flag. Johnny Handbrake, ever the consummate professional. Quite literally now, because Team Handbrake does in fact have a sponsor. After the dramatic reposition, they line up their SMGs and unleash. And that is finally enough to take down the soft serve. The Load Brothers have had an eventful game. If you measure eventful games by the metric of getting your vehicle absolutely wrecked, I am sure it will affect their place on the rankings, but I am also sure this will just strengthen their position as many viewers' favorite team. And with that, we decide our winner by default to be Team Handbrake in the Roadrunner. All things considered, they did not have a single collision, which is very appropriate for a now Miyazaki-sponsored team. They were also the first to pick up one of their flags and managed to score a takedown. Team Handbrake is almost certain to be the overall number 1 for this cycle, but that does mean they will not get to participate in salvage runs, which means they will have to make do with the Roadrunner as is and Johnny's raw skills as a driver. Neon's performance today was pretty mixed in my humble opinion. She pulled off a phenomenal flying ram, but only completely by accident, even though that did end up scoring her a takedown and an enormous amount of damage on everybody on the field. Despite the lack of wins, I am sure some sponsors have their eyes on Neon. The Barilans have been consistent, and they have scored another takedown to their name today. However, it was not enough to save them from the bad luck of an exploding monster truck. Most folks will not attribute today's loss to the team though, because the circumstances were pretty extraordinary. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. The Load Brothers today did not get to show off at all. The engagement ranges were not to their advantage, and once again the exploding underdog was a massive complication. I'm sure it is not something the Order will take personally, but it will definitely affect the soft serves rankings. And speaking of those rankings, with another 2-week cycle complete, we can take another look at them. Starting with the rankings for takedowns, we see that Dr. Vitus has skyrocketed to the top. His tactical explosion in last week's episode has earned him this spot for what will likely be a while. That is, unless the two most heavily armed vehicles, Soft Serve and Tall Boy, decide to step up their game. For fanciest driving, the ratings stay mostly the same. This is because there are only really 2 cars concerned with driving fancy. Roadrunner displaces Underdog for the top spot, but not by much. Below, we see cars like 8 O'Clock and Catfish move up because of some impressive maneuvering. And moving on now to the overall ratings, we see Soft Serve drop down 2 spots and Roadrunner take their place. Death Trap also jumps up to 2nd place after Doc Vitus' impressive showing in episode 3. Underdog has been a consistent 2nd placer and makes it to the 4th spot with a pretty big points gap between them and spot 5. And with the rankings done, we can wrap up our episode. I am Cement Soul, and this has been Cement City Racing. Until next time. Hello folks, and welcome to the end of the video. Okay, we're gonna address a few things today to do with the rules, because, spoilers, I have made my first major rules mess up. So the obvious one would be Underdog exploding, but not being taken off the table. I noticed that I hadn't taken the monster truck off about 2 rows into the explosion results, and just decided to keep her there because I didn't want to reshoot. I just ignored the actual model for moving things around, so mechanically it didn't really affect anything. But the second more subtle one would be the flip checks. Now the way flip checks work is that they force the vehicle to move forward while making it ignore obstructions. But it also has a collision window. So how I like to interpret that is that the vehicle is going into a parabolic arc into the air. All of the vehicles in this game wiped out and all of them also flip. So we have 4 flips to contend with here. The first major one was Underdog's, which is fine. She flips, she goes into the air, and she lands just shy of Soft Serve. And I don't want her landing like on Soft Serve, so I just put her shy of the ice cream truck and rule it as a collision. Roll of carnage, that's fine. Then a bit later, Underdog explodes and gives everyone else hazard tokens, and then Johnny Handbrake flips. Johnny Handbrake just goes forward, no obstructions to worry about, that's fine. But then we come to the Barilans in Tall Boy. I forget completely about the obstruction ignoring rule at this point, and just have him crash into the container. That is a pretty big sight because the container did do a ton of damage to Tall Boy, and the body lens would have definitely still be in the game if I had flipped the car properly. So I definitely made a mistake there, and I owe the Tall Boy big time. So we'll have to figure out a boon for the body lens in the future to counteract the pretty big loss there. If you have any ideas, feel free to write them down in the comments. And we also have soft serves flip into the wreck, which I just put there because there was no space for soft serve to land next to Johnny Handbrake. Although, now, looking back on it, it would have been more interesting to have him land near Johnny Handbrake. That's fine. Other than that, we are now going into a monthly schedule, because I want more time to prep for these videos, so I have more toys to play with whenever I make them. Also, they are just a ton of work, and doing them weekly right now is not sustainable. I will, however, be putting out a lot more of those hobby videos you've seen. Those are a bit more general interest, so they're good for the channel. We are 15 away from 100 subscribers as of me recording this, which is pretty exciting. Just in case people didn't see it in the Johnny Handbrake build log, I also have written up a simple guide to how to do the Twisted Metal style, one car only, style of play for Gaslands. I'll link it down in the description below. And that is just about us. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that. Let's get to 100 subscribers, people. And this is Cement Soul, and I will be seeing you next time.